can't hear you guys.
Just starting this up. Just waiting. I can't tell if we're live yet. Oh, wait. There we go. I see the stream now. All right, guys. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Xbox Roundtable Podcast. This is show number 317. Your favorite place Sunday nights to just kick back and focus on some Xbox content and more. I'm Invader, your host for the evening, and of course I'm really happy to be here with all of you tonight. After taking last week off, we have to cover a few things. This time of year, usually not too heavy in news, lots of vacations, just generally a slow time after all the major events. But there have been a few things making the rounds. Xbox and Amazon have announced an interesting partnership. We shall get into that. Plus, a rumor has been floating around surrounding the N-Sane Trilogy, as well as a few other Activision Blizzard titles. We shall touch on that and more. Firstly, though, let me introduce my astounding panel of gaming friends, starting off with Eric Shockley. Shockley, hey, how have you been?
Pretty good. Just been doing, since we had that extra week off, getting some gaming in. Been playing Final Fantasy 13, getting through that. I really enjoy the kind of like, because it's different than the others where it's kind of like more streamlined. So it's pretty fun to play and looks sick. But I have been playing a lot of the first Descendant. So that one's had a blast with that so far. So a lot of my Destiny buddies that we usually ran that and don't play it anymore have been messing with that. So I think I just unlocked where you choose one of three characters at the beginning, and then I think the first next character, obviously they would have you unlock the bunny character that everyone's been parading over Twitter. Also, did just pick up Left 4 Dead 2 since it was delisted last year. I guess I missed out on that one, but it was cool. I was up at 8 a.m. like Eastern time, so most of the rest of the country is still asleep. It is Saturday, but still 8 a.m. I'm getting into a campaign match on Left 4 Dead 2. So I think 360 might live. I really wonder if like 30 years from now you're still going to be able to play on if the 360 still works, still be playing in those matches because Series X or whatever that Xbox is keeping those consoles alive because it's keeping a player base for Black Ops or Call of Duty, Left 4 Dead. So I mean that's really cool. I was surprised about that. I thought maybe I'd find maybe a match where it might take a while or I might have to do it like prime time or something. But yeah, 8 a.m. this morning and I'm just playing campaign. I'm like, oh, this is sick. So but that's cool to see.
Yeah, I saw that you had mentioned that on X, and I was like, oh yeah, I mean, Left 4 Dead, man, I have some really, really good memories with some buddies with that game, and yeah, I mean, I want to see that game continue on, so that's great that, even so early in the morning, North America, that's great to see getting some games in, that's great that you're able to find people. Moving on, Grimes. Mr. Grimes, how's it going?
What's up? Hope everyone had a good 4th of July. I've been good, chilling, same old. The Euros are almost done. Spain versus France on Tuesday, and England against the Netherlands on Wednesday. So hype for that. But I'm still playing Callisto Protocol. Man, some of those creatures get on my they're so ugly and frustrating. I really don't like the one with the tentacles.
Yes.
That gets stronger if you don't kill them. The face huggers are annoying as well. And you can tell Callisto Protocol was inspired by Alien in a lot of aspects.
Yes.
Just imagine if they actually made a third-person Alien game. Striking Distance would be perfect for a game like that. But I've also been tempted in installing that Robin Hood game that just dropped onto Game Pass. Looks interesting. But I have so many other games that I need to finish first. I still need to finish Hellblade. And plus, Flintlock is just around the corner too, and that's a game I definitely want to check out. But overall, I'm doing good. You know, playing games whenever I can and chilling.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to see you still sticking with Callisto. Obviously, I'm kind of biased. I enjoyed the game, but yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, some of them are just so... they're very detailed, which is a great thing, but at the same time, oh man, some of them are just so frightening, right? So...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see. Moving on, we got the General in the house. General, MLD. I heard you sneak in there right at the beginning. How you doing, my man?
Hey, doing pretty good here. Been a good week in gaming. Finally got around to Diablo 4, so I'm just playing that with the Mrs. Couch co-op style. Yeah, all these updates later. I feel like the game is pretty good. Any launch woes I'm just not seeing right now because, yeah, it's all been patched. So, yeah, playing that on Game Pass along with a couple other games, but yeah, good week so far.
Very cool, very cool. Glad to hear that. Let's see, moving on. Crusader in the house. How you doing, Crusader?
I'm good. I'm good. Because of the Xbox outage this week, I got real frustrated, and I decided to go back and clean up some platinum trophies on my PS3 for the Ratchet and Clank games. I actually 100%ed Ratchet and Clank Tools of Destruction and Quest for Booty, which don't have trophies support at all because they were released before trophies existed on PlayStation. And I platinumed Into the Nexus and A Crack in Time, and I almost platinumed the re-release of Sly Cooper. They just re-released the PS2 version of Sly Cooper onto PS5.
Oh, nice.
With, yeah, they just updated like a new PS2 emulator, and so they're releasing a couple PS2 games onto it onto the PS5 with trophy support, and one of the big ones was the first Sly Cooper. It has full trophy support and like has like a rewind functionality. You can remap controls and stuff. It's pretty good. So I'm one trophy away from the platinum in that.
All right, well, you've been keeping busy the past week. Yeah, I know about the outage as we were talking about before. Yeah, that kind of sucked. I mean, it was for a short period of time, but I guess it did affect, a lot of people noticed it, so that sucked.
That wasn't obvious to me at least, is that there is an offline mode on the console, but it doesn't trigger automatically when you fail to sign in if it recognizes an internet connection, which is backwards. It doesn't even prompt you when your thing fails to go into the offline mode, and like that would solve a lot of the hysteria and problems surrounding it. Like, because I myself was furious until I found out that there was an offline mode the next day. No idea that was a thing. It's like that's a horrible UX design, not and like user experience. Like that should be front and center like every other platform with when you can't go online. That's one thing they definitely need to fix.
It should definitely prompt you like like, hey, try this, because some people don't, you might not know to do that because
I didn't know, and I'm super enfranchised in the ecosystem. You know what I mean?
Like, what it's doing,
it's
doing that whole thing with the cloud save where we've never really had to think about it since the Xbox One, since 2013. You've never had to think, oh, where is my save? If I just switched over to a new console because I traded this one in and upgraded or whatever, you're not even thinking about it. You have to plan it out from PlayStation 4 to
exactly.
Hey, I have to manually make sure all my saves are uploaded to the cloud and then all this. But I'm literally playing right now 360 at my Xbox One X, Series X, and PC. And whenever I'm jumping in between those, it's literally syncing for 3 generations of consoles and my PC, which is ridiculous, in seconds, and I don't even think.
Yeah, like
so that's the benefit of it, but yeah, they need to do what you just said.
That's one UX design they need to fix.
Yeah, no, agreed there. I'd like to see a little bit of updating on that, and yeah, no, you're right. Should definitely suggest that to Xbox for sure. And who we got here? Last but not least, the DotzRTS. How you doing, buddy?
I've been doing good. Honestly, I've mostly been working hard and playing hard. I went to a convention recently. think that was last week. I don't remember. No, it was 2 weeks ago. Either way, I went dressed cosplayed as a Helldiver. That was
Ooh.
really cool. Got to meet some voice actors. Got to I was sent on a mission by a Crusader to look for an Xbox 360 copy of Transformers Fall of Cybertron, and I could not find it, even though there was a
Only had
lot of
the
old games there, because it was it's called Too Many Games, and it's kind of like a, I guess originally was kind of more of a retro gaming convention thing, and it's been growing every year into more and more, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And
it's like if Comic-Con also had a swap meet.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's the event every year.
but besides that, I've been deep into Final Fantasy 14 because of the new expansion of Dawn Trail, and let me tell you, it is once again showing that Final Fantasy 14 storytelling and whatnot is peak, because it has not missed a beat yet, and I am very impressed, because this is kind of their off DLC, because like Endwalker was like, the finale of the saga, so this is kind of like the fresh start of something new. They have not missed at all. This has been a phenomenal DLC so far, and I haven't even finished it, while like almost all of my friends who play it have finished it before me, so I'm catching up, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. So that's been my weeks for the most part. Other than that, keeping busy with work.
Of course, of course. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm great. That's great that you got some time in, to get some, some cosplaying, some expo stuff. That's awesome. Awesome, good to hear. But just out of curiosity, for the voice actors that you met, Dot, were they from Helldivers or?
No. I know I didn't get into the lines for there were two big voice actors. I did not get into their lines because they were long ass lines. I think me and Crusader's friends were like in the one line for Jeff Blum, he was there, and he was and then there was Neil Newborn, who's the voice of Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3. He also had a very, very long line. The voice actor I got in line to, saw and talked to and whatnot, is Keith Silverstein, and he did some voice acting for he's one of the characters in Genshin Impact, and then he did some voices for Gundam, so it was really neat meeting him.
Nice.
There was some. I think the voice actress for Leon Kennedy from the new Resident Evil games was there. The voice actress for Tails the Fox from Sonic was there. So there were some other notable names there as well.
All right, that's good to hear. Yeah, I know. What was it? 3-4 weeks ago, I had met. I was at the Niagara Falls Comic-Con. And I had met RoboCop, Peter Weller, and I was standing in line for what seemed like 2 hours. It might not have been the full 2 hours, but man, I think he was only there for that day, that Saturday, and it was packed lines, and great to talk to, great guy, but man, oh man, just like waiting for, it just seems like, you have to go in with a game plan, right, to these things, especially if you plan to like meet somebody. So make it worth it, guys. Make it worth it. Have a game plan. Let's see. All right, just a very quick reminder, if you could kindly consider hitting the like button, subbing to the channel, and sharing the show out. All of these things do help us out immensely, guys, so if you could, that would be really, really cool on your part. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's go into our first order of business here. And earlier last week, news broke that Xbox and Amazon were partnering to bring Xbox Cloud Gaming to Amazon Fire Sticks, giving more options to consumers, which, it's kind of interesting considering Amazon is in the gaming business, and to see these two kind of come together like this. You know, I'll be honest, I really wasn't anticipating, but still cool nonetheless. I'm curious what my cohorts here think on the panel. Crusader, why don't you lead us off here on this one? What do you think of this newly fermented gaming partnership between the two?
Yeah, so like I saw a lot of people freaking out about this one online, and I don't really get it. That like they're doing such a push to cloud gaming, but like cloud gaming, unlike even PC gaming, is very synergistic with the console stuff. Because as of right now, the games have to release on the console in order to be on cloud gaming, because they are the console games running in the cloud. So that means that if you, like, any developer that would want their games in the cloud have to release a console version. So like that's really good for console gamers for this to take off. Like really good. And having it on the Fire Stick is like really good. That's I don't know if it's the most popular or second most popular of the TV stick streaming service devices. Roku, I don't know if Roku is bigger or not. I personally have a Roku, so I was a little sad this wasn't Roku. But like this is a big deal, and it's really synergistic for console players at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think it's great personally. Like this is really good for the Xbox ecosystem. The one thing I'm a little frustrated about is that they haven't done what they committed to do in 2022 with cloud, which would be really cool with this, which is being able to play your owned game, like the games that you own that aren't in Game Pass on the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
So something that they told us was coming in 2022, and it still hasn't hit. Earlier this year, it was supposedly reiterated that it's supposed to happen this year. We'll see. I would be much more excited for this if it meant that like I could play anything I own on the go, and I think that would be even bigger for the platform if you could play if anything you purchased could be played on the go.
Oh yeah.
Because it would add like a secondary revenue source to like the Game Pass subscription, because people would be buying games that aren't in it, such as Elden Ring, or like Cyberpunk, or Baldur's Gate, and being able to play those kind of games in the cloud. And it's just kind of a shame that this is launching before that, or like not simultaneously. Like that would be like a really cool synergistic thing for the ecosystem, but like just as it is, this is a really good thing. I don't know how much it'll do for growth, but like it's not going to be zero. Like that.
It helps.
Like I almost might replace the Rokus in my house with Fire Sticks because of this, because it's just kind of useful to have. I'm definitely going to get a Fire Stick to take with me on vacation. Because like the cloud stuff is kind of cool when you're on vacation sometimes. If the internet connection at like the Airbnb you're at is good enough. Because I don't like signing into the devices they leave, because that's just no. But this is really cool. I just really hope that they capitalize on this and get some of the really big games that aren't in the cloud yet in the cloud, via the games you owned. Because I think that's like the one thing that the Xbox Cloud is really missing right now, is like some of the largest games. It has Fortnite right now, which is kind of cool, but it doesn't have like GTA. It doesn't. Well, GTA might be in Game Pass. It comes in and out. But they don't. There isn't Elden Ring right now to correspond with the DLC. There isn't Baldur's Gate. So I'd like to see that commitment from 2022 land alongside this, because that would be so big. And like I said, this is such a good thing even for console gamers, because if this becomes popular, it makes even the console hardware more in demand for people to develop for, to get it in the cloud.
Right.
Like that's something that I think a lot of people don't realize, right? Like when it comes to like porting to PlayStation, it's kind of a negative towards the ecosystem, because developers don't need the console. But when it comes to pushing the cloud stuff, if they can get the cloud stuff going, then the console is necessary by default, because the server blades are consoles. They're modified Series X APUs that are in a server rack at Azure data centers. And so if someone wants to be on on this service, either by proxy of being on the service or own games that are playable on the service, like they have to be on the console for people who want the console gaming. So that I really think this is a good thing, a really good thing. And it opens up the doors to a lot of casual people who just want to sit and play. Because cloud is like kind of the you don't need to own a console, but it's okay because like it still supports the console. So I really like that. It was a good announcement.
Yeah, and again, it goes with again they're expanding partnerships. Again, they have that partnership that they had announced a few years ago with Samsung. And they have growing partnerships. Again, I was just kind of surprised by Amazon, but it's great that they're working together on some things. I mean, that's fantastic. You would think that they would be a little more closed off, but
yeah. So I think a lot of it has to do with the whole they have to put all of their games on all of the other cloud services.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Right. And to a point, we saw the Play It with GeForce Now. Did anyone see the Play It with GeForce Now on the Xbox Store?
I did not.
There was a prompt that said it was a game that's on GeForce Now, but on the Microsoft Store, it said buy and play this game on GeForce Now. I would love to see the Luna and GeForce Now and like those subscription services come to Xbox consoles too, in reverse, right? Because like that's the whole thing, right? Like a lot of these companies are realizing that they kind of all need each other for content, right? To get content on their platforms. And so I would really love to see some more like Xbox Game Pass is coming to the Fire Sticks. I'd love to see the equivalent of Luna on the Xbox console. I think that would be pretty good too.
All right.
Luna's Amazon's, right?
Yeah, that's correct. All right. Yeah, no, insightful and very insightful response there, Crusader. Yeah, no, again, this is something that I didn't see coming, but it's cool. Like, honestly, like, it's great to see, and, it's more incentive, like, for people to be more comfortable with their, well, at least their, Game Pass, and I hope they do, I really do hope, they do what you had mentioned, that, they actually, they work on games actually from people's, owned libraries. That'd be fantastic. I hope we see that in the near future for sure. Let's see, moving on. Grimes, why don't I hit you up next? What do you think about this little partnership here between the two tech giants?
Yeah, for sure. When Xbox Cloud was first announced, I used to play quite a bit, and it wasn't terrible. It wasn't lagging, at least on my end, too much. But I found myself playing less and less with time. I just stayed playing games on my mobile phone. Occasionally, here and now, I'll play Xbox Cloud via the console nowadays, but it's usually smaller games that I end up installing on the console anyway. But it's a great move. This is what Microsoft wants. Get Xbox to as many hands as possible. They know hardcore gamers ain't going anywhere. They might switch to PC, but they're staying within the ecosystem. Microsoft just wants casual gamers with a cloud for as little as $180 a year or $15 a month. If you already have a Fire Stick, you can play all the biggest bangers Xbox has to offer, plus some third-party games. It's a massive win. Same goes for Amazon. They don't have to do anything really. All that matters to them is people using their devices. Amazon tried getting into the gaming industry a few years ago, and if you're not patient, you're gonna struggle massively, as they found out with their studios and their Luna service that no one even talks about anymore. And it's surprisingly it's surprising to hear that people are shocked that Microsoft and Amazon are working or have a partnership. Yeah, they might be competitors, but they're also buddies that have worked, that have had multiple partnerships in the past. The two partnerships I can think of were when Microsoft partnered with Amazon to bring web-based Android apps through the Amazon store to Windows 11. A move that consequently failed because people prefer native apps on their computer. And then in 2021, Microsoft and Amazon partnered to bring Alexa to Xbox. Something that it's not even available on PlayStation 5 as far as I'm aware. So it's on, it's only available on the Xbox console. Now, will this how well will this move work? Well, it depends on Microsoft. We all know how great they're promoting their own products. Like, basically, don't promote them. So if they want this to succeed, they need to advertise it. Simple as that. Subway stations, Times Square, Hollywood, London, TV, internet, etc. And most importantly, advertise it on the Fire Stick itself. You know, I have so many friends that are casual gamers, and they'll probably jump on this right away. They don't feel like spending money on a console because they just play one game for the entire year, like Call of Duty or NBA 2K. So this would be perfect for them. And what Crusader said about bringing the games that you own to cloud. I mean, yeah, that would just open Pandora's door box. Just we've got like libraries of what some of us have 400 games in our libraries. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Just being able to play any game you have in an instant anywhere in the world. So it's a great move, and I can't see how it will fail or backfire unless the only ones that can make this to fail is Microsoft if I don't promote it. But they just need to put it in people's eyes. Like, for as little as $15, you can play over 100 games on the go. On your Fire Stick, on your Fire Stick. But
Oh yeah. Oh, well, it's the same thing. Your Samsung TV, your Fire Stick, your toaster, whatever it may be, right? You can do cloud gaming.
And do you guys know if the NVIDIA Shield has Game Pass? Because obviously, NVIDIA has GeForce, or their streaming service. So then, does that have a Game Pass as well? Does anyone know, or is it just of a Fire Stick?
So, can you repeat that question?
Oh no, so since Microsoft signed a deal with NVIDIA to bring their games to NVIDIA streaming service, does the NVIDIA streaming service have do you guys think it will have Game Pass?
It does.
Or yeah. Okay, so yeah, that was my question.
So that was a big thing that had to happen, and it took a couple months. And it only supports, like, it'll recognize if you have Game Pass as the authenticator for your thing. Because, like, NVIDIA GeForce, a lot of people don't know a lot about it, but you have to own the games in order to play them on GeForce now. Like, there's no library of games you just get. It is a service to access a high-end computer in the cloud.
Yeah.
And not all games are on it, but they opened up the Windows Store, and owning things on the Windows Store or having a Game Pass subscription will grant you access to them, but it is not the entire Game Pass library.
Gotcha.
I think there's like 15 games, maybe 20 games right now.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I mean, yeah. Again, I think it's a good move, and happy to see where this goes.
Yeah, no, definitely cool. I like it. Expanding their reach, and again, access people for their libraries. It's great. I like
Yeah.
having the options.
What if they gain like 50 million subscribers just with this move? And then don't forget, Call of Duty is probably gonna boost up the numbers as well. So they might get their 100 million subscribers eventually.
Well, slowly but surely, right? I mean, it definitely has its spurts. We'll see what happens with this one. I mean, who knows? Maybe a whole bunch of people seeing Xbox Cloud Gaming on there. It could, it could ignite some more subscriptions. You never know, right?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Let's see, who can I poke in here? The GeneralMLD. MLD, what do you think about all this?
I think it's a pretty good decision all around. Obviously, some didn't like it. The usual suspects, doom and gloom to the console, but we knew for a long time that Xbox wanted to do this. We saw, the Phil Spencer shelf, the prototype. So this isn't new information that they wanted to do this. In fact, I think this is the best case scenario. I mean, do people not know that Xbox is an ecosystem now? So this way, it would have gotten the same reaction if Xbox would have made their own. But this way, the risk is almost nothing now because they're not putting out a product that has to sell and be deemed a success. They're going somewhere that is already successful, that already has an established base. And that to me is like the perfect situation. Let them do the work for you. You don't have to worry about selling and marketing the Fire Stick. Amazon's doing that for you guys. So this is something that won't take off right away, but as soon as cloud gaming gets bigger and bigger, Xbox will be there to capitalize on that. Between this and the TV deals, and you can do it on your PC browser, like all these different places. The real strength of what makes xCloud the best cloud gaming service out there is its portability factor. Just the sheer amount of ways you can access this. And it will only get better. As we said before, we can one day access our whole libraries via xCloud, not just what's on Game Pass. And that would be ideal, I think, and what would bring xCloud to the next level. So the way I see it, save your research and development. So I feel like Xbox, they're being very particular now. So they're not doing a mid-console refresh, and they scrap the plans for Keystone, their own xCloud device, and they're letting Amazon do it for them. And it feels like they're putting all their research and development into the next-gen console and the heavily rumored handheld. And I'm all for that. They're literally doing everything at the same time, and I'm all for that. People think that Xbox can't multitask. Like by doing this, they somehow are abandoning the console. And that to me is just ridiculous. There's multiple teams within Xbox that are responsible for different things. The console's going nowhere. They already established that next gen is already coming. Like we're going to talk about it in a bit, but Game Pass is only going to get better and better, and that's only available on Xbox consoles. So this just makes the family a little bit bigger. And end of day, the bigger xCloud gets, the bigger Game Pass gets, the more Game Pass deals we get. So ultimately, the console player would benefit in the end. It all works together. So that's how I see it, and I hope they make more deals soon with xCloud. You might as well just put it everywhere you can. Like you guys mentioned, Roku devices, that should be next. Yeah, wherever they can, really. So the more penetration, the better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And again, like, I love the idea of the ecosystem. I mean, not so much idea, I should say, because, it is there. It is in multiple different spots. They've been making all these partnerships. Of course, they've had to strengthen that and make more because of, obviously, the Activision Blizzard deal, as you were suggesting. But, again, we're seeing that, and they're doing more, and, yeah, making this deal with Amazon, it is a big thing. A lot of people, you know what, you were right. I was seeing some, again, it was just kind of odd commentary, MLD, like the whole doom and gloom thing. It's just like, it's just more a sign of the times than anything. That's where, you are gonna have the traditional console gaming, but it's just the nature of the beast. They have to go on with the times, right?
Yeah,
So.
it's just more than that, though. Just
Mhm.
because if they made, I said it before, if they made their own device, if the Keystone was actually a thing, they announced it was going to come out, I feel like would we still get the same reaction? Or would they? I feel like a lot of haters are just saying this because they got robbed the chance to trash on Keystone poor sales. A part of me just thinks that because I think the risk of making their own was low adoption, low sales, and now that risk has all been eliminated because Amazon has an established base off the bat. So I don't see the doom and gloom at all. They managed to turn the situation into an absolute win with minimal effort on their part. So I don't get it.
Neither do I. Neither do I. Let's see. Dots, why don't you give us your take on this? Do you agree with the rest of the guys here? And yeah, just what's your thoughts overall about this new Amazon Fire Stick Xbox cloud gaming partnership?
I mean, I obviously I'm with everyone else. I mean, seems we're kind of unanimous that it is a good thing just to have the Xbox name expand to more people rather than expanding the consoles to more people, because then if everything's a console, then everything's an Xbox, and that means everyone's an Xbox player. It kind of tickles me in a way that's kind of like, it's like the Skyrim memes of oh, I'm playing Skyrim on my smart fridge, or those stupid little jokes that were coming out a while ago, and it's turning into a reality. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be able to play Xbox on everything, and there's no downside to that. Like, I mean, I think that's fantastic for, like, oh, what if I'm someone who goes to my grandparents' house and all they have is a Fire Stick that they got for Christmas, and holy crap, I can play Xbox on it now when I go to visit my grandparents. As an example, but stuff like that, it is an ecosystem, as was said, and now more and more people are going to be able to access that ecosystem without having to drop half a grand on a console. And I think that's wonderful, because as much as I love console, and while I personally have not touched console all too much recently, I'm still a proponent of, if I was to buy a next gen console, it would be an Xbox, no doubt. I say that even though most of the games that I'm eyeballing is something I'd want to play, I still really would love to play, like, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy 16, but I really do not want to buy a PS5. It has no appeal to me beyond that. And obviously, the solution right now is that Square Enix has been very vocal about their desire to, go cross-platform and, break those Sony chains and, give to everyone. And in the meantime, Xbox is now, saying, "Hey, we are more than we are more than the console. Xbox is more than the box. it's the X. Actually, I don't have an analogy for that one. That was kind of dumb, but that's beside the point. You get what I'm saying. we're building a community, and we're not just building it, we're expanding it. Because Grimes has it right. The hardcore players, they're going to buy the console, they're going to buy the games, they're going to stick to it. And Xbox, knows they have them in their back pocket of supporters. Everyone else, it's all this expansion, and it's getting as many hands on access to it. It's just getting many eyes and ears onto it, and as much negative press as we're likely getting from the other side. All press is good press, negative or otherwise. I say, let them bellyache and make a joke about it, but like no one's talking about the PS5, which means no one cares about the PS5 because no one's talking about it. Let them bash on the Xbox. That just means more press for it. So that's my take on it. Let's keep expanding this. I want my Xbox on my smart fridge next. That's next on the list. Let's make it happen.
Oh yeah, get xCloud on the fridge, the toaster, the blender. Why not the oven?
My smartwatch. Get my Xbox on my smartwatch.
Oh, I would love to see them cram that. Or my calculator. That'd be interesting.
Oh, your TI-81.
Yeah, make a deal with Texas Instruments. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Don't they do stuff with like NASA stuff? Don't they do like rockets and shit, or is they just calculators? I thought they did something with space related.
They do a bunch of different things.
Crusader, you have stupid knowledge of things like that.
What, Texas Instruments?
Yeah, do they do anything other than calculators?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I don't know what off the top of my head, but they do.
Okay. I just had that inkling that they did something else. I feel it's something stupid like how General Electric makes your laundry machine, but they also make the A10.
So I know they make a lot of like simple use electronic parts, like integrated circuits and like semiconductor stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think they make a lot of electronics and stuff for like defense, for like
a quick Wikipedia shows they make microcontrollers and multi-core processors.
Yeah. So that they make silicon.
Yeah, they're pretty big business.
I think they do a lot of stuff for like airplanes and stuff like that.
All right. So TXR is now Texas Roundtable for Texas Instruments Roundtable.
Yeah. Texas XR, yes.
All right, but no, that's my take on everything.
All right, sounds good there, Dots. And yeah, all right, Eric Shockley, why don't you round us off here? Eric, again, what's your thoughts? Obviously, a bunch of the guys have already spewed their opinions and thoughts on the matter. Yeah, what's your views on Xbox Cloud Gaming, and yeah, Amazon Fire Stick's partnership?
Yeah, I think it's it's a really good deal for them as far as getting more. I mean, obviously people know what Xbox is, but still just getting out in front of them. People might not know what like Game Pass is or what's really in it. So this kind of gets it front and center with a lot of casual, people that might not play a lot of games, but maybe they play Call of Duty, or maybe play Call of Duty on their phone, like Warzone. Well, cool. This is basically, next best thing. If they have a Fire Stick and play the newest Call of Duty on there as well. So, and I think it's also, people say like, oh, this is going to be a step in the new direction of like getting rid of the console. But as Crusader kind of laid out, I think this is going to make sure that there's always a console period, because like they're going to use something for the blades or like for the server. So they're going to obviously have those in production. So kind of like how, the real reason PS4 gamers have in the US have like all these Japanese games is because, well, the game's already on the platform by that point, because they're made for people in Japan, mainly for a lot of these games. And then it's like, okay, cool, we just localize it, and then it's already there. So same thing here. You already have these blades in production to make the cloud gaming. Okay, you're going to still have a product, whether or not you're selling like 50 million consoles or whatever. There's still going to be a decent sized presence, and that's where you can't just cut out the console anyway, because where are you going to make up the Game Pass numbers? Like PC isn't going to be enough to sustain that. So yeah, I think it's going to really just actually secure the console and just make it so also that we're not paying like getting huge increases. Like sure, we've had like a $2 increase to Game Pass Ultimate, which is not bad considering if you look at these next couple of years, what's in it. Like it's ridiculous, and Call of Duty's in there, and it still hadn't gone up after they did the $2 increase before that, all that. So if anything, it's just going to help Xbox gamers as a whole. But yeah, hopefully it just takes off, gets more people in, might even, like Crusader said, get more people into the platform itself. But yeah, I only see it as a good thing. Don't have a Fire Stick anymore, so since I moved over to Roku, or my TV has Roku, so that and figuring out how to do Kodi on the Xbox anyway, so didn't really need a Fire Stick for that. So but yeah, it'll be cool to see how that goes. Hopefully it's goes smoothly. But so sometimes those, at least in my experience, the Fire Sticks can be a little finicky, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that's it.
All right. Well said there, Eric. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how this partnership goes, and if it draws any significant numbers to xCloud Gaming. But again, it's pretty big, especially with the Fire Sticks there and the breadth, the reach of it. So, very, very popular stick, popular service, and yeah, we'll see where this leads for them. Again, I hope it's successful. And I'll be curious to see if they announce any kind of details on that in the coming future. But I expect to see more of these kinds of partnerships come out. Obviously, again, we've seen Samsung, now Amazon, and a few others. There'll be more. Especially, since the Activision Blizzard deal, it's you're going to see a lot more of these coming for sure. But yeah, guys, again, I hope you're enjoying the show, and if you are, please smash that like button, share the show out, and of course, up to the channel. Love having the new faces stick around, and it's just great to have you all here on this balmy summer night. It's pretty warm here, actually, where I am, and yeah, just good summer weather. I'm enjoying it for sure. But yeah, guys, why don't we move on to the next topic on deck? And it's a fairly decent-sized rumor making the round, actually. Now, according to a leak which has since been corroborated by Windows Central, it's reported that Crash N-Sane Trilogy will be making its way to Game Pass in August. As well, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, plus even Spyro Reignited Trilogy, which, that's a pretty significant content, gotta say. Now, obviously, many have been wondering when we would be starting to see these Activision Blizzard games making it onto Xbox Game Pass. It's just been kind of, a waiting game. A very frustrating waiting game at that. So, many are wondering, when the floodgates will be starting to open on that. Now, GeneralMLD, my friend, I'll move over to you first, and then Crusader. What are your thoughts on this here? Do you think these claimed leaks could be true, or, could we be left waiting a little longer here?
I sure hope so. I mean, it's been the better part of a year now just waiting for these games.
9 months.
Right. I mean, they released Diablo 4, and it feels like it was all hands on deck just to get that one out. And I mean, I'm playing that now, and that's going to occupy some of my time. But I kind of wanted to do a Call of Duty 360 marathon. I thought that was going to drop at the showcase. I thought that was going to be a easy slam dunk, but it just came and went, and that was one of the minor gripes I had for that showcase. Now that I'm thinking about it, during the ABK court proceedings, they did make all these deals with all these streaming services that we never really heard of. I think they're based in Europe or whatever. Um, I think they have to guarantee that everything they put onto Game Pass also has to release on those at the same time. Maybe that's part of the reason why they made all these commitments to all these little platforms when they wanted to appease the UK regulator, and now they're kind of stuck doing that. So now everything will take that much longer because it's not as simple as moving a game from the Xbox store onto Game Pass. They don't have to certify it for all these other platforms now. Not that I'm defending them. Of course, I want these games. I want them now. I mean, we've been cheering this on for what, over 2 years now, and you think that ABK would be more or less integrated into Xbox by now. But I feel like the brass, they know that enough's enough. Like, it's been 8 months or whatever. People are getting a little impatient. We kind of want more than just Diablo. So they're finally starting the drip feed process, which I think is practical, because I remember when Bethesda was acquired and they just did a massive games dump. Like, everything was dropped all at the same time. Now, that's great for PR. Like, it's worth celebrating back when it was fresh news, but in reality, people like say for the next month, the month after, if the Game Pass drops are pretty slim, all of a sudden people just forgot that you just dropped like 2 dozen Bethesda games last month. All they care about is, oh, what do you have for me now? Gamers' memories can be very short sometimes. So in hindsight, it's better to release a little bit at a time to keep every month fresh. And I'm glad they're finally starting to do that, if these rumors are true. Yeah, a lot of ABK games I purposely held off on playing because I knew it was going to come to Game Pass eventually. Now, I already beat Crash N-Sane Trilogy. Amazing. Anyone should check that out. So I'm more interested in, say, the Spyro Trilogy. I never played Spyro before. This will be a first for me. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But I'm hoping that maybe, say, Gamescom, they can give us somewhat of a roadmap, maybe drop something there and tell us, more to come. Because, off the top of my head here, I would like the Prototype series 1 and 2. I want to see at least the 360 Call of Duties. Now, I'm thinking to myself, do they not want to do that because they don't want to steal Black Ops Thunder? They don't want people with the older gamers with nostalgia to be playing the older games on Game Pass instead of the brand new game. So is that why we haven't seen those older ones yet? It could be any of the reasons, but I choose to believe these rumors because it's just been too long of a wait. And everyone notices it. It's the elephant in the room. You can't ignore it anymore. So it's going to happen one way or another. And if they're smart, they'll do it at QuakeCon. They'll do it at Gamescom. Probably both. But I guess we'll see. But I'm glad they're finally starting to ramp this up, as they should.
Yeah, agreed. And again, I'm with you there, GeneralMLD. I was hoping that, we would get, notified about some drops at the showcase. But, obviously nothing happened there. And it's been kind of, slow news when it comes to that. So, it's too bad on that front. But I don't know. It appears like we will be getting something, though. Judging from this, there seems to be some evidence and some cooperation here. Crusader, why don't you follow up on this? Again, what are your thoughts on this, my friend?
So, I've been probably one of the most vocal people online about being really frustrated as to where's even, like, discussion about this from Xbox's side, right? The last update we've officially had on this from them was in February at the business update.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they haven't said a thing since then. We haven't had a game release onto Game Pass since then. Well, that's a little bit after. We had Diablo 4, but that was announced at that event, and we have had nothing since. And so that was like the one thing that was disappointing about the Xbox showcase to me, was that that wasn't there. And I understand not doing them in the 2 big drops like they did Bethesda, but I'm also highly against them releasing 1 or 2 at a time. Like there are 20 Call of Duty games that are compatible on the Xbox Series X. If they did just 2 of those at a time, it would be 10 months to get through all of them, let alone Prototype and Spyro and Tony Hawk and Crash and other Crash, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's so much. And so I'm just kind of like, no. You know, now Jez Corden on he doesn't have concrete information. If he does, we'd have an article about it, or he would have talked about it a little further on his podcast. But he has been teasing on Twitter a little bit that like the next 2 weeks of Game Pass might look even better soon, maybe possibly, is his exact quote. Now I have thought that one of the easiest, as soon as we found out that it was Black Ops 6, I figured one of the easiest big drops for them to be would be releasing Black Ops 1, 2, 3, 4, and Cold War onto Game Pass, like at the Xbox showcase as part of the Call of Duty Direct, to be like catch up on the story of Black Ops before the next one drops. Because I have heard the argument that people make that like the older Call of Duty games being in Game Pass will pull people away from Call of Duty being in Game Pass, and that's gonna be a forever problem. If it's not, you know, as soon as it's not a problem for this year's Call of Duty, it'll become a problem for next year's Call of Duty. So like I don't buy into that, except for releasing them right before. Like I understand not releasing them right before or right after, but at some point you just have to put them on the service, right? And deal with the fact that the old Call of Duties are on the service and might be acting a little cannibalistic towards the new ones. Like that's just something that's going to happen at some point. A Band-Aid that has to be ripped off. And if they had done it in, you know, earlier this year, it would have made the most sense. Now, the argument that they're waiting for the cloud providers is perhaps one, but they only have to wait for the cloud providers to put it on them at the same time that they put it on their own cloud service, which they can't put it on their own cloud service because they have to license that from Ubisoft, because Ubisoft owns the rights to putting those things on the cloud services,
Right.
including Xbox Game Pass. Which is why Diablo is not playable in the cloud. Diablo 4 is only playable on Xbox consoles and PC. It is not playable in the cloud. I find the Call of Duty games more likely that they're fixing the RCE exploits, the arbitrary code execution. That's like really, really, really bad exploits on PC, where people can run code on your computer because you are playing Call of Duty. It's really, really bad exploit, and it affects all Call of Duties before Cold War, I believe. It affects a huge slew of them, including a lot of the most popular ones. And so I suspect that they are because they have to list these games on the Xbox store, which means they have to repackage them. I suspect they're fixing those issues in games like Modern Warfare 2, the original Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, that have really popular. Like Black Ops 3 has really popular zombies mode. It's probably the most popular zombies that's ever released. Black Ops 2 is probably right behind it. But I suspect that they're kind of fixing those things, so that they can list them on their store, because that would actually be a PR nightmare if they released some of the old Call of Duties on the PC store and they still had those remote code execution problems, like an actual PR nightmare, because they are distributing software that can hose your computer just because you are online with it. Don't even have to be in a lobby with people. You only have to be online, and if someone knows you're online, they can just run like put viruses and malware onto your computer.
Crusader, one question, but
Yeah.
wouldn't it be better if they just said that outright?
It would be
Where
better if they said that outright, correct? Which is why I'm really frustrated we haven't heard anything since February, because they whatever reason there is for why we're waiting this long for the games to come to Game Pass really isn't good enough from a console's perspective. Where on the console, it really is just list the damn thing in Game Pass and it's on the service now, right? On PC, they have to put the stuff on the store, and that requires some patches and porting. On the cloud, they have to actually have enough storage space and nodes and things ready for people to log in and play it and stuff. Like there are logistical things with cloud and PC, but there isn't with console, which is what makes it really frustrating that we're waiting as console players, right? Like really frustrating. That being said, I am very happy that I'm both happy and sad, I should say, because I, like MLD, have wanted to go on a Call of Duty binge for months now, right?
Right?
But
Yeah.
I also haven't played Crash. I haven't played Sly. I haven't, or not Sly. I'm sorry. I haven't played Crash. I haven't played Spyro. I haven't played Tony Hawk. I played them way back when, but I haven't played Tony Hawk games in probably well over like a decade and a half.
Spyro alone is a lot of content,
Yeah.
and it's good.
The Crash is the one that got the 4th game. Spyro has not had didn't get a sequel after its collection, correct? Or did it?
No.
Okay. And then there's games like Prototype. I own the Prototype games, so like them coming to Game Pass wouldn't be a big deal. But I've kind of been waiting to play them so that I can be in on the conversation when they go live, because there'll be a lot of people playing them for the first time. So I've been kind of waiting off on that. So like, hearing that like Spyro and stuff's gonna come first is pretty cool in a way, because like I'm also on a 3D platforming binge right now, so it would be kind of cool to continue that with Spyro and stuff. But I think it is a missed opportunity to not have the Black Ops games on Game Pass, because there is a point like if we get to like August, like at the end of August, and they haven't put them on the service, I'm not expecting Call of Duty games to come until after like the new year. And that's simply because there is a point where like there is a cannibalization effect, and I understand that. But there's always going to be one, but that would be like straight up upfront at the same time not good. But like, yeah, I really, really, really want these games to start coming, and them coming is a great thing. It's better than nothing. It's just really frustrating the wait has been this long. And like, I would prefer if we got like, instead of 1 to 2 big drops like Bethesda, we got like 4 to 5 smaller ones, but like still like 4 or 5 games, because this is like a fossil fuel resource for Microsoft, right? Eventually they run out of Activision Blizzard games to put on the service, so it's like they have to come up with a good ratio of how slowly are we going to put them on to how quickly are we going to put them on, because people are going to be really annoyed if the game that they're waiting for that Microsoft owns is not going to come for 2 years, because they're only releasing 2 games at once.
And also just to be a little strategic with the release of the different genres too, right? Because they have so many shooters and whatnot, right? So
and I just kind of wanted to put this in tangentially, because there was a rumor with the relisting of Transformers. I have like thoroughly debunked that. For anyone who saw that Transformers was supposedly, quote, relisted on the Xbox store but not purchasable, the web pages have existed since the games were listed in the first place. They're not new, and I have pretty reasonable evidence to show that like they weren't even de-indexed on console. So they were always searchable there too. So like I think people are seeing things that they want to see there, and it wasn't anything real. I'd be the first person jumping at the moon if the backwards compatibility program was coming back for the Transformers games, and they were actually relicensing the Transformers games. There's just I haven't seen any momentum in that direction that's actually like verifiable real things happening.
And then tomorrow all the Transformers games get relisted.
If that happens, it is coincidental to what people are saying. It is not anything with relisting, unless they did some weird things in other regions, because that's the one thing I couldn't track down, is if maybe stuff was treated differently in like the UK or things like that. But if you're in the US, the web pages have always existed for the Transformers games. You can see them on the Wayback Machine going back to like 2020. That was, I think, the oldest one indexed for for them. But like those web pages have existed, and as far as I can tell, they were searchable on the console too. Now you'll see me jumping at the moon if those things are relisted. I will be singing the praises. I'll come in this podcast next week and I'll be screaming if they announced them next week. You know what I mean? Like that would be awesome. Because people were saying that they were back on Steam too. You can pretty easily check on Steam's database API that they had none of the Transformers games have had any updates in the month of June. One of them had an update in the month of May for its listing, but it was just like a different trailer that was listed on the thing. So I don't think there's any actual movement in Transformers games. But yeah, no, if they do something next week, then like y'all can come here and be like, I told you so, and I'll be like, you really didn't, but like I'm happy with everyone.
Well, I think regardless, even if they just like list off like, oh, I don't know, even if they just gave us like Time Shift, for example, at least it's something, right? You know, like
right, yeah. And the thing with the 360 games is they haven't actually put a new 360 game on Game Pass since I think the Bethesda acquisition. They don't really license 360 games for Game Pass like at all. So like with the 360 games, I'm actually wondering like why they haven't dropped more of the Activision 360 kind of catalog yet, because those don't seemingly move Game Pass enough to even license them anymore. Maybe EA had some stuff, but like yeah, like I'm just kind of like, yeah, give us the 360 shit because it's good. It's really good.
yeah.
Now there's also a lot of Microsoft published games that aren't in Game Pass from the 360 era. Like Blue Dragon and I think Lost Odyssey was also published by Xbox, wasn't it? I know
Yeah.
Blue Dragon.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And they're not in Game Pass. I know Marathon 2 Durandal is not in Game Pass, despite it being still published to this day by Microsoft, that version of it. There's a couple weird games like that Microsoft has publishing rights for, but they're not in Game Pass, because I'm pretty sure that the publishing rights are really weird and specific for those games. But yeah, and I'm also very curious to see if I'll be vindicated with Sekiro coming to Game Pass. Because Activision doesn't own the Sekiro IP, FromSoft does, but outside of Japan, Activision has the full publishing and distribution rights to Sekiro, to the point where Sekiro was even advertised in the coming together video with Activision Blizzard and Microsoft. So I'm very curious to see if that one comes, because a lot of people have told me I'm an idiot for thinking it'll come, but I don't, and like I wouldn't be shocked if it didn't, but at the same time I'm like, there's a good chance this comes because of like how it's published.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see that one. It's kind of like Mad Max. I'm pretty sure the Mad Max game is in Game Pass, isn't it? That Bethesda published.
I don't think
It
so.
used
Not
to
Mad
be.
Max.
It used to be.
Yeah.
I wonder if rights reverted to
WB.
WB. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's the weird thing with these things, because like, you know, then there's what's the game called? We Happy Few that Compulsion made and was published by Gearbox. That game, Microsoft has to keep relicensing to put it back into Game Pass.
That's pretty
Like,
crazy.
It leaves and comes back, even though like Microsoft owns that IP. Gearbox, it was Gearbox Publishing, which is now technically the publishing name changed. It's one of Embracer's many remaining publishing arms, because it didn't go in the sale of Gearbox to 2K. But like that game is an example of like, just because you own the IP doesn't mean you can actually choose how to distribute it.
So is it the same thing with Outer Worlds, because Private Division published it?
Correct. It's the exact same thing with the Outer Worlds, except like the base version of the Outer Worlds, Microsoft co-publishes, but like they were 2K, like that's why like the Spacer's Choice version isn't that's why like that Spacer's Choice version, or whatever the upgrade to PS5 and Xbox Series X, that's why that's not in Game Pass, is because of like some weird stuff with Private Division. Then
Which shut down, by the way.
Right. then you have what's the Insomniac game that's on that Xbox published?
Sunset Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive. That IP is holistically owned by Insomniac and PlayStation, except for the publishing rights, which is why
Yeah.
it's in Game Pass on Xbox, because Microsoft controls where it goes. Same thing's true with the original Mass Effect. The 360 version of Mass Effect is completely published by Microsoft, who actually initially published the original. That's in Game Pass proper and not in EA Play on Xbox consoles. So there's a lot of really weird stuff. So like it'll be really interesting to hear what we see with like the Activision Blizzard stuff coming. Like Vivendi games are another question because of like weird publishing stuff, and like then you have the question of like we've talked about Fear a lot in this podcast, right? A lot of us love the Fear games. And the first Fear is not listed digitally on Xbox.
Right.
Because of licensing, the Vivendi owned the license
Sierra.
for Fear and Fear files.
Yeah.
Despite the IP being owned by now Warner Brothers, but at the time it was owned by the studio that made it.
Sierra.
No, Sierra was technically it was. Who was
Sierra was owned by Vivendi.
Yeah, but who made the Shadow of Mordor games? Because they're the people.
Monolith.
Monolith owned the owns the rights to making the Fear games.
Yeah.
So whatever happened with Monolith, they're the ones who hold the rights. That's why Fear 2 and Fear 3 are published by Warner Brothers. But Microsoft could make things right with the Fear franchise, for example, and actually get that relisted, because Sierra Online was part of Vivendi. Vivendi merged with Activision to create Activision Blizzard. And so the whole rights disputes that could be fixed by Microsoft. And so like that, like those are like the little things that are kind of like my hope as we get more games on Game Pass. Some of these weird things that are like decades old could get resolved, and some games could just come back and become more available. It would be awesome for the Fear games to like, oh, we're gonna give you the rights to the publishing of Fear back, but we want Fear in Game Pass for 2 years. Like that's the kind of shit that kind of makes me excited about this, because I would love to see the rights to Fear get fixed, because those games are so good. I even like the third one, which is the controversial one that people are like, it's not great.
I liked it, but it's
definitely
it's a different game. Again, because they decided to do co-op.
Yeah.
You know, like it's.
I gave that game a solid 3 out of 5 at first, and I bumped it up a full half a point because it ended with the most like turn my head, what the fuck is going on? Because Mother by Danzig starts playing. At the very end of it. And I was just like, what? Like, but yeah, like that's my hope for all of this, right? Is that like we start to see a lot of these games come to Game Pass, a lot of rights things that are tied up with like the old Vivendi merger getting fixed. Just a lot of nonsense. And like I'm curious if Time Shift ends up on Game Pass, because you brought Time Shift up, right?
Yeah, I did.
Very curious to see what happens with that game, because it is technically an IP owned holistically by Activision Blizzard, but it's one of those weird things from the 360 era where I'm like, I don't know what they're going to do with this game.
Man,
because there could be some weird thing that prevents it from going into Game Pass.
I'm
so curious with those.
I remember back in the day when that was supposed to be another Halo killer, and it just like it came out and that was it.
Yeah, I love Haze. It was the Ubisoft Halo killer. It was a PS3 exclusive. It was a timed exclusive, but it was so bad it never went anywhere else. I love the game though. It's so bad. It's one of those things that I find to be so bad that it's good.
Yeah, I remember having a PlayStation friend that was like, "Oh, it's gonna be so good," and then like it came out, and
I got it because I only had a PS3 for a long time, and I got it because I wanted something like Halo that I would play at my friend's house.
Right.
And so like, there's a lot of weird games like that in the 360 era that I'd like. Singularity is another one. Singularity is not backwards compatible.
Oh,
but, like, Singularity is one of my huge targets for like, hey, Microsoft has the ability to relicense this and get this shit on on the road. Because almost certain it's not a technical issue that's keeping Singularity back, but a music licensing one. And I'm like, this is why I fight for the backwards compatibility program to come back so much with the Activision Blizzard stuff, because most of it is just licensing problems.
Man, I love Singular. That's such a fun game.
I own it. I bought a physical copy, and if it doesn't, if they don't bring the backwards compatibility program back in the next year or two, then I will certainly just play it on my 360. But like, it's stuff like that, that like I really want them to get to talking about the Activision Blizzard library, because I think it's a bigger conversation than just Game Pass, as obviously I've spilled into a lot of it, and I think it starts with getting the stuff on Game Pass, because then the conversation can widen. But right now it's basically just, where are the games? That's what we got to get past. We got to get them to put some stuff on. We got to get them to talk about it.
Yes.
That's why I'm incessant on Twitter about, like, hey, why haven't we heard about this stuff?
Well, again, there must be, like, you had alluded to and explained a few possible reasons, but I mean, again, there has to be, a reason why they're not doing that. Otherwise, I'm sure that they would be more than happy to gloat on their social media.
If they came out and said that they're fixing the Call of Duty's RCE exploits, I'd take all the time in the world. Because no one ever expected Activision to ever go out of the way to fix those games. And it's a travesty that those games are the way they are on PC. And so, like, that would be a huge PR win, in my opinion, if that, like, yeah, we want to fix these games before we put them on Game Pass. Huge win. Huge win. Just come out and say some stuff about the games.
Yeah, I know. I again, like, just judging from what we've been hearing, I don't know, it sounds like they want to talk about it. And in a way, too, it makes sense, because, again, usually the summertime, after the showcases, you get this lull, right, in news.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they started talking about, again, the backwards compatible titles. I really wouldn't.
Also, if one other thing that could be gumming up the works is maybe they are working on relicensing some stuff. Like, maybe they are working on relicensing the Transformers games, and they want to do, like, a Transformers drop. Right? Because maybe it is stuff like the Call of Duty stuff's taking some time, but maybe the relicensing of the Transformers stuff is taking some time too, and stuff like that. So, like, there are reasonable reasons. I just wish that we would get some just conversations on it from Xbox, right? Some, like, we know you guys really want this stuff. And, like, if they came out and said, yeah, it's taking some time, but don't worry, we're bringing back a bunch of 360 games that aren't currently compatible, I'd be like, my brothers in Christ, you could have 2 years. Like, that's just fine. Just there's plenty of reasons that would be totally acceptable. Just come out and talk to us. Just talk to us.
Agree, but at the same time, too, I guess if they spoke too soon and then something happens, some kind of a, and they have to, like, wait a little longer, then people will be disappointed.
Some people have said that the FTC appeal is still an issue, and I'm like, if the FTC appeal was still an issue, they wouldn't have announced Black Ops 6 is coming to Game Pass. They, like, the 360 games don't matter. Like, the biggest fish of the year is going to hit Game Pass.
I somehow doubt Call of Duty 2 is really gonna,
Right, exactly. Like, Spyro the Dragon is not going to take over the world on Game. So I'm just kind of like, yeah, that argument doesn't hold water with me at all after the Call of Duty announcement. Like, at all.
I can just picture it now, though. Once all those games, like, drop, like, all the Call of Duties for one, like, we're all just gonna be, like, binging Call of Duty for, like...
And the great thing about those is those are, like, 6-hour games, right? The campaigns are not long. And so it's just like a almost like binging a Netflix show. You know what I mean? Like, just go through one after another after another. I'm excited for that. I haven't played a Call of Duty campaign since Ghosts, because Ghosts was bad. Ghosts is when I gave up on the franchise.
I mean, in hindsight, it's not as bad as, like, some, like, I don't know.
Vanguard is probably the worst one now. I'm really excited to play Infinite Warfare for the first time.
Yeah.
I shit on that game when I was in college, and then I saw someone play it, and I'm like, holy shit, they cooked with this. Why did we not let them succeed with this? This is awesome.
It should have
been...
been...
That's the one I'm the most excited to play.
It should have been a new IP, to be honest.
It should have been a new IP that didn't have Call of Duty attached.
Yeah, I think that it would have done better if that was the case, but
Or they should have called it like Infinite Warfare, a Call of Duty story, where it was like in the IP, but like they didn't try to push it as Call of Duty itself. You know, like they tried to like distance it a bit from the Call of Duty brand.
well, I guess they felt that it
I'm
needed the brand
excited
name.
to play that one. That one looks so cool.
Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure. But I mean, again, Crusader, we'll see what with time, hopefully, it sounds like
I'm
we'll
hoping
be.
that like it's like Monday or Tuesday, and they're just like, yep, and I'm just like, holy shit, because like next week would be awesome. Like this show, like awesome. So.
Again, it would be nice considering the summer lull. So.
Yep.
But.
All right, I gotta dip, everyone. So y'all can have a great rest of your night, everyone in chat.
All right, take it easy, Crusader.
See ya.
Hey, man.
All right, but yeah, Crusader, I you know what? Yeah, well, definitely a good convo going on here about that. Time will tell. Time will tell for sure. Let's see. Why don't we get Shockley in on this? Eric, again, you heard obviously MLD first, and then Crusader. Yeah, what are your thoughts? Again, we've been hearing rumblings of Crash N-Sane Trilogy, Tony Hawk, a couple of those games, and Spyro possibly coming soon to Game Pass. I think we'll get an announcement soon.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Sounds like Jez was saying it might be even sooner than what we think, or there might be some other stuff. But yeah, I mean, I could see them trickling stuff in that should be fine. Like, if you think about it, especially you don't want to put all Call of Duties at once, or for that matter, even more than one at once. Just because how it's going to just kind of cannibalize each other. So it makes sense to just put in like, hey, start with just go in order or something. I don't know. Call of Duty 2 1 month, or 2 weeks, space it out. So they could even do that. Like every 2 weeks they drop one in there or something. But yeah, I mean, and there's so many other games, even from Bethesda, like that. They had license. I don't even know licensing, but like the original Wolfenstein or the Wolfenstein from id and Ravensoft or Raven, forget the name. But yeah, because Raven was, I guess, with Activision, right? And then I don't know if id was under Bethesda at the time, but well, they have both of them now, so they could bring that back. So they definitely have some options, but there's a ton of IP. And ton of games Activision's released from the past Xbox One era to now. So they can definitely feed them in there. There's already a ton of shit that's coming, especially by next year. So I would say just fill in that stuff in the down months when there's not something like a Flintlock that's dropping here soon. Just sprinkle those in, because then that there's always some like not new, but something that would get people excited. Because some of those Call of Duty games are expensive, and I mean they're relatively cheap on the store. But yeah, on the physical copies, they tend to be going up right now, especially because of the inflated price 360 prices. But yeah, it's cool that we're at least getting some news about it, because it was kind of weird that we didn't even hear anything about it. Kind of like how we at least got some titles from Bethesda pretty early on. So I was wondering, when we were going to get the word. So that's cool. That's a good one to start with. That's not too old of a game, and one that people may have not touched before. So that's definitely a good one. Put the Spyro trilogy in there. Put the Tony Hawk in there. I've been wanting to spend the money. I just haven't. So because I figured at this point they'll probably eventually be in there, maybe. But maybe because it has licensing with the music, with the Tony Hawk remake or whatever it was. But yeah, at least we're getting some news about it, and hopefully it's coming sooner. Hopefully in the next couple months. That'd be cool. So. And we'll see if there's anything else that drops in there, besides the N-Sane Trilogy. Hopefully they do with that. At least announce some backwards compatible titles, because when they killed that was after, Bethesda. So it was like, okay, this is it. This is all we can do. But things are different now, so maybe we get a last push. But yep, that's all I got.
All right, fair commentary, Eric. Fair commentary. Yeah, hopefully we'll get some stuff soon. That's what everybody's been saying. It's just a matter of the opinion regarding, how they, do they drop it all at once, or do we get drip fed it? I'm just gonna assume that they're gonna drip feed, little by little, but we'll see. Again, there's a lot of games coming from again, Activision, Blizzard King, and all that, so lots of back catalog, which is great. I love back catalogs. Just the backlogs. oof, lots of games to play. Let's see, going over to Grimez. Hey, you got any thoughts on this, my friend?
Bam, it's about time. Like you guys mentioned it, we've been waiting so many, like 9 months for Activision games to drop to Game Pass. One game isn't enough. Love Crash N-Sane Trilogy. Great game, over frustrating at times. I must have died over 1,000 times playing that game over stupid mistakes. So it's a lot of fun. Toys for Bob did a superb job making that remake. Good for them for getting their independence and not having to work on Call of Duty anymore. Just like MLD, I've never played Spyro, so definitely looking forward to checking it out if, in fact, those rumors are true of them coming to Game Pass very soon. Of course, it's only rumors, and we need an official word. And with Tony Hawk, it's a game that I've been tempted to buy several times, just like Shock just mentioned, and perhaps I should have gone and bought it, but every time I've just hesitated because I know eventually it's gonna come to Game Pass now that Microsoft owns them. All around great remakes. All 3 games are amazing remakes. And yeah, it will be interesting. It will be interesting to see what Microsoft's actual plans are for Activision. Xbox should probably address it sooner than later, and hopefully they do that at Gamescom or before. Hopefully before that. I agree with the guys that dropping everything at once it's would be stupid. It makes no sense. So ideally, it should probably be 3 to 4 games per month, with an additional 2 games on Game Pass on Windows. Bring some. I love me some of that Sierra Entertainment catalog. Bring some of those old games to PC. I know very niche games, but games like Gabriel Knight, Police Quest, and the SWAT games would be a great addition to Game Pass on Windows. I mean, if anyone's familiar with the SWAT games, SWAT 3 and 4 were some of the biggest tactical shooter games in the early 2000s, and they wouldn't compete with the Call of Duty games. And if Gabriel Knight, such an amazing game from like the early 90s. Bring it to Game Pass PC. I'm sure it will do well, and then make a modern remake with a studio like Remedy which would be perfect for a game like that, or one of the internal studios. But you guys have said quite a lot about Activision. Yeah, there could be reasons why they haven't announced anything yet. Maybe it has to do with the cloud stuff, maybe with Ubisoft. But I think we all agree that they need to be vocal or give us some information about Activision, because February, having the last time we heard anything from them was February, and we're nearing the end of the year. That's ridiculous. Just so many games that I would like to see come back. I don't really care about the Call of Duty games. I would just play the campaign and move on. I haven't played a Call of Duty game since the 360. I think the last one I played was Modern Warfare 3, perhaps. And then I moved on to during the Xbox One era, I moved on to Battlefield 1. But I just care about the single player campaign anyway. So I'll just play those games and move on to other games. But another game that I would love to see it come to console would be StarCraft. That game really needs to come on console. I don't know what the holdup is. I do believe it's free on BattleNet. I don't know if anyone else uses BattleNet here. I think it's free on BattleNet, but I think it would do well on the Xbox console and on Game Pass. Don't really know what else I could say. I mean, you guys have given a lot of information already. I just want some of old catalog to come back. Just nostalgia. I just played so many Activision games in the 90s that would love to see them come back. Back in the days, like Sierra used to publish racing games too. I'm not into NASCAR or IndyCar, but Sierra used to publish those games back in the early 90s, and used to play the shit out of those games. And SWAT, like I like back in like 93 or 94, I used to play the police quest games, and they were so good. So and again, I just think very niche games, but I feel like they would do well on Game Pass. Yeah, just come on, Microsoft, just give us some information, and hopefully, like you guys have said, that maybe next week we hear something about it. If not, hopefully by Gamescom. I don't know exactly when Gamescom is, but it's probably in a few months, right? Is it around October or September?
Late August, actually.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, hopefully before that. But we still have like so many games to play anyway. But if Tony Hawk was to drop onto Game Pass next week, I would drop anything, any game I'm playing just to play that, because like I've played pretty much all the Tony Hawk games and I love them.
Well, that's the thing. Like Tony Hawk is like a nice. I mean, you can play these games anytime, obviously, but you get certain. It's like I get certain. During certain times of the year, it's like I want to play certain games, and to me, Tony Hawk would be like more of like a summertime kind of a game,
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also the music. The music is what makes us want to go back to those games. I feel like because
Mm-hmm.
the soundtrack for those two games was top notch.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Some games are definitely defined by their soundtracks. I mean, look at
Yeah.
Forza Horizon games, for crying out loud. So,
Yeah,
um,
but yeah, like if Tony Hawk drops on Game Pass tomorrow or Tuesday, I'm dropping I'm dropping Callisto Protocol and just playing the shit out of Tony Hawk.
well, I certainly don't blame you with that, Grimes. You know.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, I want I'm keep going back to it. I just want some of that old catalog to come to PC.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but time will tell, right? And it seems like, it's gonna be front running a lot of these game announcements for the backwards compatibility in cloud and whatnot. So,
Bring me back Leisure Larry. Leisure Larry.
Oh, Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it would be nice. We'll see. I mean, even with fear, though, like, I mean, Crusader was right. Some of these games have like, such intertwined publishing deals that, like, they have to work hard behind the scenes for some of them. So harder than some others, right? So,
but I don't know if anyone remembers, but during the last thing I'll say, but during the Xbox One era, Sierra was able to bring back one of its old games. I don't know, it was a King's Quest, one of the King's Quest games.
Yep.
So I don't know how that worked. I don't know if it was through Activision but I do remember it coming back, and it did pretty well. I mean, for a small game.
Yeah, I know which game you're talking about.
I'm trying to look it up real quick.
That's what I'm trying to look up. Yeah. They did bring it back. You're right. Oh yeah, I see.
In 2015, and but I'm just trying to find out the publisher and.
Yeah, Sierra Online. I don't know. I'd have to look into it more, I guess, off air. But oh yeah,
and it's still actually available on the at least on the Microsoft Store. But but anyway, so that obviously the publisher and studio had closed long after, so who knows how these licensing deals work.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, right? I mean, we'll probably get a bunch of the easier ones first, but again, time will tell, right? Time will tell. Now, let's see here. Who do I have left to round us out? I believe it is Dots. Yes, the Dots guy. Let's see here. Dots, obviously you've heard everybody give their take on this one. Yeah, what would you say to, we've been hearing these rumblings of Crash Trilogy and Spyro, that trilogy too, and of course, like, some of the Tony Hawk games coming. We've been waiting on these announcements. Do you think, I don't know, again, there seems to be some corroboration from some news outlets. Do you think we'll be hearing something about these games coming soon?
I'm hoping. I think the general consensus here is that we've been waiting, and we have, we put, but there's been a lot of time, effort, and whatnot to, get these acquisitions, and we're still not seeing the fruits of the labor of that all. I mean, Diablo 4 was, a starting point, but even that's like not even that great in reviews, and I mean, I put my time into it, and I can't say it was my favorite game. I still think Diablo 3 is superior in a lot of ways. But no, uh I'm hoping that we get something, because as it stands, I still have very little love or faith for Activision Blizzard after all those issues that happened years ago. And if Microsoft wants to, rebuild and reclaim and revitalize that company, we need to see something come out of it. We need to see that cooperation. We need to see, the fruits of that labor. And we've gotten Diablo 4, which is so in my opinion, and we've gotten an Black Ops is, coming coming this fall. And so, I'm hoping that we can, the Crash Trilogy, Spyro Trilogy, all those would be great. Getting all, Crusader said it this and last time 2 weeks ago that, if we can get all the Black Ops games dropped before the newest one, then yeah, no, that would be that would be great marketing. That would be fantastic marketing. I mean, Black Ops 2 is still my favorite Call of Duty ever made. And I'd play the shit out of it again if it was on Game Pass. So, yeah, like there is so many IPs and whatnot that Microsoft can have access to with Activision. Hell, I mean, we got Final Fantasy 14 on Xbox. World of Warcraft getting another MMO on a console be fantastic. That would get so many more people to play it, I'm sure. Yeah, I see you in the comments. StarCraft, actually, give some love to StarCraft, because it's almost like they don't love StarCraft anymore. Like, they don't invite it to BlizzCon. There's no new content. There's occasionally a tournament or two in which some Korean player wins. What else is new? Like, Diablo got its new game. Warcraft getting its new expansion. No love for StarCraft. No one cares about Overwatch anymore. We're and that's just the Blizzard side of things. Yeah, no, we've been waiting, and we're gonna get tired of waiting. And the issue is, there's not much else fresh and new to do, because Halo isn't giving us anything. Good Lord, Halo is not giving us anything, and everyone's pissed off that they just, their new battle pass was Sangheili / Elite themed items. There's no it's like there's a skin for the rocket launcher that makes it look like the plasma caster from Reach.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
But and that's a $20 skin, by the way. But they're not adding new weapons. They're not, they're taking other people's Forge maps and adding them to playlists, which that's just lazy on the. They're not doing any. They're literally spending all of their time making cosmetics for us to indulge in, and then just using other people's content to make maps, or to as maps, and be like, oh, congratulations, your map will be used.
Well, to be fair, I think they do have maps coming, because I did, a long time ago, see like the leaked maps and what they are. But then again, plans change, right? But I know that they did have content planned, like more content, more of their actual in-house maps. But I guess they're just slowly going to be drip feeding them.
But is maps going to bring the players back? I don't think so. When I hear there's when I think when they announced the big team battle maps, that was something, but even that wasn't enough to really bring in any numbers. People want, what if we, bring back actual firefight? Because, King of the Hill firefights, only fun so many times, but then it just gets repetitive because it's the exact same like objective base, and you know how to play around it. There's no like fight until you die.
I agree.
You have to do custom games for that. But yeah, but like not to go on an anti-Halo tangent because that's not why I'm here. But like yeah, we're running out of solid. It's a lot of waiting. We're waiting for games to come out when there are so many older games that could just be dropped and like with minimal effort. I feel compared to these fresh new games that we're waiting to be completely developed. Gears of War. I know so many people are hyped for that. That's going to be a heavy hit. I know you and I are waiting for Space Marine 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like there's so much good stuff on the horizon, but while we're waiting for it, we're getting, nothing. We're not getting anything. The current games out are getting little support, and the, what options we could be getting through Game Pass or, back compat or whatever, we're not getting anything. So it just sucks that we're stuck in this waiting thing. And I hate being the negative speaker on that, but even my patience wears thin. Even my patience wears out eventually. So I'm hoping that given enough, time, we can we get something. But this Activision Blizzard deal has not been showing any fruit just yet, and that's what I want to see it. I want to feel good about it. I want to see it. I would love to have the trilogies hit. I mean, hell, they have that first Spyro trilogy. What about the second Spyro trilogy? We haven't. No one's done that. The one that's voiced by Elijah Bloom. That's a callback of video games, but like we got so many older games that could be hitting Game Pass that like I think I looked at the June release and there was like one game that I was familiar with, but it wasn't like anything that would just grip my soul and say oh man, Game Pass is really giving me the 1-4 and showing me that this is it's got a massive library and it's definitely a great thing, but I want to see the meat. We're getting lots of potatoes. We're not getting enough meat. So,
well, to be fair, they're not dropping their heavy hitters in the summertime just because again, it's not usually too a lot of people are out and about in the summer, right? So
right, but like what if just dropping Black Ops 1? Just drop Black Ops 1 in prep, or even World at War in preparation for Black Ops 6. Just a little trickle. Like just one Call of Duty game on Game Pass. That'd be huge.
I don't disagree. But there must be a reason. There must be a reason why. I'm sure they would have loved to have had it out like months ago. But
and I agree with you, Invader. There is probably a reason why, but we are not told the reason, and that is also part of the problem. We're not given. They're not giving us information of why we should wait, and thus we're waiting with them being silent, and saying play Peppa Pig for the 10th time. I don't know. We keep making that. We keep making that joke.
We're all in agreement that we want to hear a reason why.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's been an issue in a lot of our podcasts where we've had, talks about Game Pass or Xbox, there's the communication with us is very lacking. And so once again, we are waiting. There's a lot of waiting with no information. And then they announce something huge and it's big and we're all excited for it. Obviously, I'm not, that's no shots down to the game announcements. Like I said, Gears of War, that's going to be huge for people. I'm really excited for the Gears fans, but like, we're getting silence on so many other fronts, especially on backwards compatibility and more Game Pass releases going into the future from all the acquisitions they've been making. So I want to see the meat. I really want to see that meat, and that will change the game. Show it to us, or just tell us about it. Tell us why it's taking so long to season the meat. Why is it taking so long to cut the meat into pieces to distribute evenly throughout the year? I'm making these meat analogies, and I just ate. So come on, I want to see it. I want to hear it. Talk to us.
I mean, like, we are getting Stalker early September. I mean, as you said, Space Marine 2. I mean, that's not a Game Pass thing, but but obviously, actually, Focus Home had just charged me for my pre-order of the Statue Collector's Edition. So,
oh boy,
yeah. So it sounds like I'll be getting that a little earlier from the sounds of things. But I mean, otherwise,
we are getting a lot of games from September to December. About 2 first-party games a month.
Yeah, because I was just gonna add too, like, you look at Avowed as well, MLD, right? We don't have a date, but it is coming, I think, or maybe we do have a date. I can't remember, but it's coming, right?
Well, unofficially, it's November, but they took out that release date. But I mean, Towerborn as well, but that game's also listed for 2024. So I mean, there's Call of Duty, there's Aura History Untold, Indiana Jones, Avowed.
Age of Mythology.
Age of Mythology, yep. I think I'm missing one, but Flight Simulator 2. So we're gonna get that shotgun blast to the face of first-party games. But I do feel people's frustration that from now till September, we should get some ABK games to tide us over. Like, that's not so much to ask.
Yeah, and that would be nice. No, and I again, we're all in agreement. We would like to see them. And I remember, chatting with, Crusader in our DM just for a bit, like, a few days ago, and I was just like, honestly, like, I still stand by this. I mean, I agree, I do want to see all these, but at the same time, like, I have a pile of games anyways. I have a pile of games. Like, I'm not too worried. Like, I'm not gonna get bored. You know what I mean? Like, plus Game Pass, I don't know, I'm kind of, like, I'll be honest with you, like, I'm still satisfied with Game Pass, to be honest, because I still have, like, even games that have been on there for a while, like, I can't just, like, mow through games like I used to. Like, I take my time going through certain games, so, but, I mean, I'm not everyone, that's just my own pace, right? But, still, like, everyone's consumption level of the games is different. But that being said, yeah, again, I would love to see these Activision Blizzard games drop as soon as possible. Anything else to add, Dots?
No, go on, Grimes. I don't have anything else to add.
No. I was just gonna ask Invader if you finished Still Wakes the Deep. I forget if you did it or not.
No, I haven't had a chance to go back to it, to be honest.
But you like it, right?
It's all right.
It wasn't as scary as I thought it'd be.
It's okay. You played it, MLD, really?
Like about like 25%, like maybe a third of the way through.
Yeah.
I thought the end. I was very tense and afraid for the build up to the first enemy, but I looked at it and I'm like, I've seen worse in Dead Space. that was my first impression. Otherwise, it's a good game for what it is, but I thought the enemies would be scarier.
Which is interesting because it's from the same studio that I think did Amnesia as well. So
that game I played, that was scary. Like, those things gave me nightmares. These guys just looked like off-brand necromorphs. So I don't know. Maybe it's just because like Dead Space and Callisto desensitized me. But yeah, that's just me.
All right.
That's good to know, though. That's good to know.
Let's see. I think I got to everyone here. Any other comments, gentlemen? All right. All right. I think I'll start closing this one off for tonight. But yeah, fun chat tonight, guys, surrounding like Xbox content going into Amazon Fire Sticks. Plus, again, this hot rumor surrounding Activision titles. Hey, we might hear something about them going into Game Pass soon. So some pretty cool stuff overall. Yeah, to all of you tonight that tuned in, thank you for being a part of things. And if you enjoyed our chat, then please consider leaving a like, subbing to the channel, and naturally sharing the show out, because of course it does help. And yeah, guys in the chat, you were great tonight. Thank you. You I love all the commentary and your participation. That's great. But with that said, let's move over to the outros, starting off with Dots. Hey, good chat tonight from you. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, no, you can find me at DotzRTS on both Twitter and Xbox. I will likely be doing some photo spam of my convention and cosplay if you're interested on my Twitter within the next couple days or so. But yeah, no, another good Sunday. I'm glad we could all get back together for that. And, I think there's good hope for the future. We just got to stick with it.
Indeed. Next up, Eric Shockley. Eric, hey, loved your commentary tonight as well. Where can everybody follow you at?
Yeah, good show. As always, you can find me at ShockNero on Twitter, EZShock on Xbox Live. Yeah, good show tonight. See you next week.
Naturally. Next, on to Grimes. Grimes as well. Good stuff from you. Some very well thought out points. Where can everybody follow you?
Yeah, great chat as always. Dots, I can't wait to see your cosplay. So let us know when you post it. And yeah, you can find me on a Fake Mayhem Twitter.
All right. Next up, the GeneralMLD. Buddy, good stuff as usual. Where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me at MLD Ghost on Twitter X and Gamertag GhostMLD. We had a great chat and looking forward to the next one. Hopefully we get a little meatier news. But this was still good though.
Want the meat?
I know. I want to make some burgers now.
Oh yeah,
You're making me hungry.
Get some burgers, put a little cheese on there, some bacon for some added protein. You know, do the works, man. Do the works. I hear you. But that said, guys, of course, Crusader left earlier. You can find his details down below. And of course, I'm Invader. You guys can find my content on YouTube at Invader Gaming. I'm also on a slew of other different video content creation sites. You can check me out on all those. But yeah, it was great to have you all here, and we look forward to seeing you here on the next one. Later, guys.